All right, so this next post sparked some controversy online. Let's check it out.
Every time I see a fat white woman, I think to myself, I know there's a don't play about you. Do not play about they fat white bitch. I'm telling you. Every time I see a fat white woman, I think to myself, I know there's a don't play about you. Do not play about they fat white bitch. I'm telling you. Every time I
All right, so you guys heard it there. I played it twice so you could hear it. She says every time she sees a fat white woman, she knows that there's a ninja who doesn't play about her. And she's then kind of doing two things there, right? Claiming that when a black man gets with the white woman, she's usually fat and unattractive. On top of that, she's calling the white women who participate in the interracial dating. Now, as you guys know, my whole opinion when it comes to dating is go where you're appreciated, so on and so forth. But a lot of people were triggered by this video. Let's check out a few comments first because there were some responses. We're going to check those out. This top comment says, the way I hollered, don't let her have the Cookie Monster pajama pants. Here's somebody else who says, and they've been together for years too. Here's another person who added, remind me to never open TikTok in a crowded elevator again. So somebody else here says, Dirk in 2009. That's actually pretty funny. That's actually pretty funny. If you guys don't know what they're talking about. So they're referencing this photo right here. I'm going to bring it up on screen. Right. That's Dirk. I think this is a photo that keeps on circulating. People will bring it up. Another comment here says, sending this to my dad. Somebody else here says, pathetic women speaking to each other in the comments. And of course, you know, you have the white chicks here who are offended, so on and so forth. And then somebody decided to respond to this actual video. And this is what they had to say. Let's check it out.
Every time I see a fat white woman, I think to myself, I know there's a don't play about you.
And I know if I came on this app and a white woman came on here and said, if I saw a fat black woman and then one with a stereotype, y'all would be in an uproar on this app. But for some reason, you think it's okay when you do it. This is what I don't get about stereotypes. Some people will speak about stereotypes and think it's okay, but once that stereotype is about you and your culture, all of a sudden you're in an uproar. So you're telling me that you can speak about other people, but then you get your panties in a bunch when other people speak about you. This is the same thing that happened when we were kids, talking about if you can throw a punch, you can take a punch. Some of you can't take a punch. Some of you cannot take a punch, and all of a sudden now you the victim, but you've been on this app since 2020 seeing the most ignorant, stereotypical things. But all of a sudden when someone want to fight back because they're like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. All of a sudden you got an issue with it. All of a sudden you going to talk about, well, we've been blah. What, you got to pick a side. It's either everybody can do it or nobody can do it, but you can't just pick and choose who and can't do it.
That's a pretty good point there. I think that's pretty fair. You know, I do think that there are a lot of things that like, oh, you can't say that, right? You can express dislike. For example, I've said this before, when I see like the Pop the Balloon show, one thing I've always noticed personally is if you have like a black, like the majority of people there are black who are participating in the dating show, and you have a black woman come up and she's darker skinned, and you have a couple of lighter dudes there of lighter complexion. She can look at the guys and say, oh, I popped their balloons, right? The lighter complexion dudes, because you're too light for me, right? But if she was to be light skinned and they were darker and she said, you're too dark for me, that would be a problem. But even worse, if the women there were to be darker skinned and he was light skinned and he came up and said, oh, you are too dark for me. That's like, you can't have that preference. I mean, you actually can't have that preference, or you can't speak that you have that preference based on feelings. But we know people have those preferences. We know there are people who prefer people who are actually darker. You know, dark skin is like something that's actually, you see a lot of people talk about, like they want that, you know. But you're not allowed to voice when it comes to, you can, but you get what I mean. You're not allowed to voice when it comes to that particular preference of wanting somebody who has lighter skin. My main point here isn't about what you shouldn't or should be able to do. I'm just saying there are obvious situations where if people repeated back what they usually say to others, then we know they would be in tears. Then there would be a lot of marching and a lot of sadness. Let's read a few of these comments here in response to what she had to say. Top comment here says, exactly. That's why I don't speak about nobody. Here's somebody else who says, sir, thank you so much because you said everything perfectly. Another person here says, and this is why I leave people, because I believe in defending myself. And another chick here says, I say this all the time. And these aren't just like black men who are chiming in and being like, you know what, I see where you're coming from. This is both men and women who can recognize this.
Every time I see a fat white woman, I think to myself, I know this don't play about you.
And I know if I came on this app and a white woman came on here and said, if I saw a fat black woman and then went with a stereotype, y'all would be in an uproar on this app. For some reason, you think it's okay when you do it.
Listen, I've been accused of talking down to black women and all that, yet you can't find one video of me saying black women are X, Y, and Z, because I don't do that. You know why? Because I fully believe in retaliation. I've said time and time again, my wife is white. For some reason, people feel as if that's like, oh, the floodgates are open. I can say whatever I want to him. Understand this. If I get on here and say, oh, this white boy, and then say a negative stereotype, and a white boy calls me a big lip porch person, I can't really get that mad because I started it. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this is just black women, because it's not. There's a very pompous, fake intelligent group of black people who feel as if they can say whatever they want to people online because they're black. And I want y'all to understand something. And again, I'm not just talking to black women. I'm talking to the black people that do it, because there's a lot of black men who do it too. Listen, bro, you have to understand that
That's
you're
true.
moving just like the LGBTQs, where they feel like they can say whatever they want to everybody and nobody can say anything they want to them because they're a group that people talk about. Yo, that's not real life, bro. You say something about white people and white people say something about you, neither of you are evil. Y'all just talking shit. When I
Right.
talk shit, when I get on here and talk shit, I fully expect everything back. And everybody needs to have that mindset. Because if you don't, you're going to think everyone's out to get you while you're being a dick the whole time. How is that going to work out for you?
That's a very, 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 very good point. Like as far as the LGBT example, and I think people are just calling stuff out now more than ever. Let's read a few comments here. This person says facts on facts on facts. Another person here, chick says, LOL, I knew you was coming. Somebody else here says, damn, I've been watching you this whole time and didn't know. You know what he's talking about. You know. I beg your pardon. No, just somebody else here says critical thinking in use. All right. Oh, shoot. You know what? Let's show this because the actual chick actually responded back. And this was her response, the unapologetic response.
I know this don't play about you.
And I know if I came on this app and a white woman came on here and said, if I saw a fat black woman and then went with a stereotype, y'all would be in an uproar on this app. But for some reason, you think it's okay when you do it.
Well, we know who like fat white women.
Okay. So that's that. That's that. So I hope you guys saw that. No, you know what? I was wrong. Nothing. No, we know who likes fat white women, and there are a lot of fat white women, and I don't think people are generally attracted to fat people. But that's just me telling the truth. That's besides the point. The point I'm trying to make is just be ready to take out what you dish to everybody else.